Hello everyone, welcome to Dr. Rajkumar Academy. Welcome to this session on 15/9/2022. So guys, in this session, we'll try to discuss about the newspaper. And there were some students who were asking, we are sitting for the first time, how exactly we should proceed. So guys, I would recommend you people to make notes in papers and wherever I dictate under that particular topic, you can take a new white sheet and write that article, and I'll tell the points that should be there. Normally, some issues like Sri Lanka or international relations or some issues which keep on coming regularly, that we may add more points. But guys, just remember, for 1 week to 10 days, you may get points with respect to a particular article and not beyond that. So maximum for 1 week that page may be used effectively. So monthly, once you compile everything in a proper manner and compiling in the sense not rewriting them, you can write one below the other, and later with the help of other magazines and all, I'll help you to cover the issues which are not present in the Hindu. Fine. So let's quickly get into the newspaper. Congress meltdown is, as I told you, politics. Hindi not a competitor of regional languages. Sure. So guys, there is always a debate whether Hindi must be introduced in other parts of the country or not. And some states, especially Tamil Nadu, has opposed Hindi implementation to the core. But here, the Home Minister, who is actually a most important person under whom you will have official languages, right? So Home Minister has actually told that it is not a competitor of regional languages, but it will grow along with other regional languages. And they are asking that offices and banks outside India must try to use Hindi as well. The meaning of this is, along with English, they would have written in Hindi to promote Hindi outside India. This is what they are planning to do. And according to the constitution also, measures needs to be taken to promote Hindi. In United Nations and all, they are planning to put some efforts to promote Hindi. So, but the biggest problem is within the country, making everyone accept or understand that language is not as easier because of the attitude in which it was actually put. Anything by force, people will not be comfortable in learning. If this can create some opportunities, then definitely it can. So now, cadets back at Jammu Kashmir Lake after 33 years. Guys, this I want you to make a small note. See, guys, in Jammu Kashmir, there is a lake, right? There is a lake along with Dal Lake and others, that is Manas Bal Lake, which is present in central Kashmir. It's a freshwater lake, Manas Bal Lake. Make a note of it. Manas Bal Lake in central Kashmir is a freshwater lake. Yes, what all are factual, you can write in one place. All the factual data, you can write it in one place. Yeah. Yes, just remember that here earlier NCC people used to come, but now they have stopped coming because of militancy issues. But again, they are coming back, indicating that the militancy has reduced. BCCI office bearers can have 2 terms in a row. The meaning of this is, actually people were discussing, once if they are elected, they should not be re-elected, but they should normally, have a cooling off period. That means they should not contest and others should contest immediately. So but the court told that it will take some time for us to settle down, and before that itself, if you people ask to move, it is not fair. So at least two terms must be given. So that was what they were talking about, guys. Now let us talk about the editorial one. The future of old times in India, near universal social security pensions would be a good start to a radical expansion of public support for the elderly. So let me just give you the brief of this, guys. Jean Reyes and Esther Duflo actually argue that it is important for us to give universal pensions. That means all old women must be given social security pension rather than focusing that whether a lady is poor or not. We should give it to everyone because old people are actually dependent on the state, and if we can give it to these old people, then it would be very helpful. They're trying to argue that even in some well-off families, old people are not taken care of, and giving pension by the government will help them out for their personal expenditure. So, guys, these are all what we call as opinions and suggestions. So, if there is a problem, and for that problem, when we need to have proper solutions, then we can think over it. But this particular article is not so helpful for us. Engage with caution. This article is trying to talk about LAC, which I made you people to write notes already, so don't worry about it. India's growing water crisis, the seen and the unseen. So, guys, this article tries to talk about rural urban water disputes. Now, what is the meaning of this? Now, whenever, like Chennai, if we take for example, Chennai is taking water from nearby villages, and there are many such areas like Ahmedabad which used to take underground water till 1980, now is completely dependent on what we call as Narmada river. Bangalore is dependent on Kaveri river. So the author is trying to argue that urban areas are mostly taking resources from the rural areas, which may lead to rural urban water disputes. So there was a person by name Brahmachalani who used to say that 21st century is purely about the water wars, because China is constructing dams over Brahmaputra. Pakistan is worried about India constructing dams over the Indus river systems. There were certain issues like that. Now, in this particular article, he is trying to say that as urban population is increasing, and it is believed that India's urban population will reach 40% by 2030 and 50% by 2050. And if that happens, then most of the urban people are dependent on the rural areas for the products, and that may lead to rural urban conflict. Fine. So not so important, guys. I have explained you. Just read it once. I would say 15 minutes you give, you pause and read it well, but I would say nothing much to write in that. Imagining an alternative scenario in Ayodhya is imagining itself is not important for us. Examining the Dolo scandal. Guys, I think Supreme Court and the other courts have given clean chit to Dolo. So again trying to blame someone who has got the chit doesn't make any sense. So guys, in this data point, they are trying to talk about the biggest problem for the state government is about the subsidies they provide for the power sector. Remember, guys, most of the state governments provide subsidies to the people so that electricity can reach to the rural areas, agricultural farmers, and all. But that is one of the major problem to pay, right? So when we look at it, most of the states have a debt, and that debt is more mainly because of the subsidy given to the poor people in the form of electricity, is what this article is trying to argue. So I find, I would say, like, in this you can just make a note. In economy you can just make a note factually. Subsidies in power sector, subsidies in power sector has led to subsidies in power sector has led to increasing debt to GDP ratio, or you can write GSDP, gross state domestic product, debt to GSDP ratio. Full stop. States whichever gives more subsidies, states whichever gives more subsidies are are having more having more debt to GSDP ratio, debt to GSDP ratio compared to states which is not giving which is not giving more subsidies. Yeah. So guys, EWS quota discussion in the new Supreme Court is continuing. Hijab ban, again the same court discussion is going on. No specific law against hate speech, EC. So guys, actually hate speech is dividing the country, mainly because during politics or elections people will do hate speeches targeting specific communities so that they get the votes, but that has not been punished, mainly because there is no specific law to punish. So even law committee has not recommended it. So if anything of that sort is there, then it could be easy to punish, is what they're trying to argue. Yes, in governance you have, like, representation of people's act and all, but if a law is there and if they're discussing about it, it's important. If a law is not there, then it is not important. Cabinet okays addition of 4 tribes to ST list. I just want you to know that is, when you want to call someone to be a scheduled tribe, then if, let us say, Gond community is a tribal community, but it will not be called as a tribal community in the entire country. So always ST status is given according to the states. Is in a particular state this community is a tribe, so in this particular state this community is not a tribe. So residence is very very important when it comes to ST list. And now the government has actually included certain tribes into ST list. One is Hatti tribe in Himachal Pradesh, Nari Koravan and Kuri Karan tribes of Tamil Nadu, and Binjia in Chhattisgarh. Fine. I want you to make this notes. They may ask you match the following of this. In prelims, they may ask you match the followings. Hatti tribe in Himachal Pradesh, Nari Koravan and Kurivikkaran in Tamil Nadu, Binjia, Chhattisgarh, Bettakuruba, Bettakuruba, or Kadu Kuruba, Karnataka. So, guys, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar met French lady, and they have just told that we need to work together on Indo-Pacific. So here I just want you to know India and the Western countries, that means European and US countries, are always trying to talk with each other with respect to free and open Indo-Pacific. Fine. And India is saying that France is also an important player there. Nothing much. PM gave away Congress, guys, don't worry. Two minor Dalit sisters found dead in UP village. Guys, just try to see what is the reason why it has happened. Those type of things you can use in your answers, guys. So, guys, PM may hold. Here they have given SCO is not clear who is talking to whom. SCO fights anti-West dictators club tag. So the meaning of this is everyone feels that SCO is anti-West, but it is not so. It is actually made up of some powerful countries, is what the SCO officials are trying to tell. But guys, I just want you to know Turkey is not part of SCO. Belarus is not part of SCO yet, right? But they are called as special invitees. For example, Turkey is called as a special invitee. Belarus is an observer within SCO. So I just want you to know that they are called. When you read these articles and if Turkey is there, don't feel Turkey is part of SCO. Yeah. So guys, yesterday we were talking about the helpline 1098 and government has told that that service will remain. So nothing much about it. The world news. So guys, wholesale inflation has reduced, but what is continuing is food article inflation. I was telling you yesterday that you will have something called as core inflation without food and fuel. So headline inflation, which includes food and fuel, guys. So there are different types of inflation which you will be reading in your basic classes. But here I just wanted you people to know that inflation is a continuing problem and monthly they will be giving us outlooks. So we must be aware what is improving and what is decreasing. That's it. Exports has reduced. Fine. See guys, normally whenever our currency value reduces, that means $1 is equal to 100 rupees, let us say. That means our currency value has reduced. This is what we tell. Now whenever currency value reduces, what is going to happen? Exports increases, because our products will become cheaper outside, and that will help our products attractive. But the problem in the country is, even when there is even when there is significant reduction in the value of rupee, we are not in a position to increase our exports, mainly because some of the countries which purchase our products, like European Union, have economic crisis. So when they have economic crisis, they won't purchase goods much, and that will have impact on us also, is what this article was trying to tell, guys. So nothing much. India is planning to stop rice export, right? And that is very important, because there is less rice production in the country in this particular Kharif season, is what they try to argue. So this is about what we call as yeah guys, text and context. Understanding Ukraine's counteroffensive. uh, Russia, as of now, tries to control these regions, and this was also part of Russia, and now Ukraine has defeated them here. It may further continue, is what they're trying to tell us, guys. So let's wait and check what will happen. The lowdown on essential medicine list. So just whoever is interested can read, but it's not so important. Fine. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.